We begin tonight with President Trump. He says he's now on a working vacation, but he's not taking a break from one of his favorite pastimes, going on the attack with tweets.
And today's tweet storm appears to be part of a renewed effort to take his message straight to the president's strongest supporters.
Yeah, KCON9 political reporter Bryan joins us here with today's latest developments. Dave?
And the president didn't have any problem finding targets for the tweets today as well. When General John Kelly took over as chief of staff last week, some folks thought the discipline he brought to the West Wing would include some limitations on President Trump's tweets. Well, I think it's pretty clear tonight that's not happening. Quite the contrary, as a tweet storm came flying out of New Jersey. President Trump is living the Gulf life in New Jersey this week, but while the president's away, he can still tweet. And on Monday, he sent out a Twitter tornado, blowing away his opponents, blasting the fake news media and the failing New York Times. And he invited Senator Richard Blumenthal to take a nice long vacation in Vietnam, where he lied about his military service so he can at least say he was there. What triggered the president's ire was Senator Blumenthal's call for bipartisan legislation to protect special counsel Robert Mueller from political interference.
If the president threatens to fire Bob Mueller, I think it's very important to protect and safeguard the independence and integrity of that investigation.
After watching that interview on CNN, the president tweeted, "Interesting to watch Senator Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut talking about hoax Russian collusion when he was a phony Vietnam con artist. Never in U.S. history has anyone lied or defrauded voters like Senator Richard Blumenthal. He told stories about his Vietnam battles and conquests, how brave he was, and it was all a lie. He cried like a baby and begged for forgiveness like a child. Now he judges collusion?" Trump's attacks referring to Blumenthal's misrepresentation about his military service in the Vietnam era. Blumenthal did enlist in the Marine Reserve after several deferments, but President Trump was hardly fighting on the front lines either, never having enlisted even though he was eligible for the draft, and he also received numerous deferments, one of them for a foot problem. Blumenthal says he won't be intimidated by Trump's bullying tweets.
I have no idea about what is in his mind. What I do know is I will not be distracted by this bullying.
The president's Twitter attack on the New York Times called the paper totally inept after it published a story suggesting that some Republicans, including Vice President Mike Pence, are considering running for president in 2020 in case Trump doesn't make the ballot. But Pence, who's scheduled to fly to New Jersey this week and meet with the president, bitterly repudiated the Times story, calling it disgraceful and offensive and declaring the allegations are categorically false. Cal State LA professor emeritus Jaime Regalado says Trump's use of social media is opening a new avenue for political candidates and public officials to get around the mainstream media.
So he's uncovered something that nobody else has, even the Obama administration, by having the chief guy, the chief dude, the president in this case, continuing the use of social media to great effect to, again, stay in touch with his base, keep them rivaled up in his corner, and ready to attack at any time.
But Twitter isn't the president's only weapon now for getting out his own message to his supporters, unfettered and unedited, circumventing the media.
Hey everybody, Lara Trump here. I bet you haven't heard about all the accomplishments the president had this week because there's so much fake news out there.
Recently, the president's daughter-in-law, Lara Trump, launched the Trump campaign's version of Real News, a weekly video posted on President Trump's Facebook page outlining his accomplishments during the past week without going into any of the negatives.
Again, the president has donated his salary. His first quarter salary went to the Parks Department. His second quarter salary has now been donated to the Department of Education.
By whatever means, he tries to stay in touch and hold the base of conservative voters while also being able to talk his points about what he's accomplished while still dumping on the mainstream media, I think is kind of smart in a sense. Do I think it's state-run propaganda? It probably will be.
Now, one reason President Trump is putting so much time and effort into tweeting, and now his campaign is putting on its own weekly online news wrap-up, is the polls are showing he's in trouble. A new CNN poll today is the second recent poll to show that the president's approval rating is rock bottom. The CNN poll says only 38% of Americans think he's doing a good job. That puts more pressure on him to hang on to his most ardent supporters.
So does this establish a new routine for communication for future presidents and political analysts?
Well, I mean, I don't want to duck your question, but we'll see, basically. I mean, it very well might, and it depends on whether it works, like everything else in politics, and we don't know that yet, too soon to tell. I do want to make it clear that Professor Regalado, who you saw in that report, was not making judgments about the content of President Trump's tweets and Trump TV. I asked him to evaluate the effectiveness of the tactics the president's using to speak directly to the people and appealing to his devoted supporters. In the past, sometimes, some supporters have felt ignored and forgotten when a president they passionately worked for took office and then all of a sudden became invisible to them, making them feel ignored and left behind in the dust. Lena, back to you.